Welcome back to Sin Dieta, a space where we talk openly about the systems that shape how we see our food, our bodies, and ourselves in general. We cover various topics, including eating disorders, disordered eating, and diet culture through a lens that blends our clinical experiences, cultural perspectives, and community commitment to community healing. As a brief intro, we have today Nico, our nurse practitioner. Me, I'm Christina, a registered dietitian, and we have Vero, who is a clinical therapist. Today, we're going to be talking about how food functions as connection, culture, and care, and how those dynamics can sometimes be complicated when it comes to eating disorders, body image, and unhealthy relationships with food across generations. Before we get into that, we want to share a brief disclaimer. So, like usual, this podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical, nutritional, legal, or any other professional advice. And the content is not intended to replace any of those professional services. And we do recommend that you seek advice from a qualified professional if you have any concerns. Listener discretion is advised for younger listeners, and the views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts and any guests and do not reflect that of any employer, organization, or sponsor. So now that that's out the way, we're going to have Nico start the conversation today.
Yeah, and I'm excited to be back. I know I was away for the last session that we all had. So yeah, I think I feel like this is a very central core topic that I feel like we've always allude to and kept in mind when we've talked about other things. So yeah, this is going to really focus in on it, knowing, the central question that we're going to be chatting about in other ways is just how do cultural expectations around food, family, and appearance shape disordered eating experiences in the Latinx communities across all generations. And so therefore, with that in mind, how does healing look without rejecting what our traditions are, while also taking accountability with some of the things that maybe we realize have been harmful and passed down that we maybe did not intend to say or do. But still holding on to our core selves, our identities, to know that those are some strengths that actually help us heal from something like an eating disorder. So we've been chatting a lot in reference to a book called Tias and Primas. I have to write down her name by Prisca Dorcas Mojica Rodriguez. I know we're kind of sifting through because it's very like I can't talk right now, full of information with each chapter because they're about aspects of different types of family members. And so this one, we're talking about the typical, we call it tia, but it could be any family member, the cousin, your mother, the tío, the friend, who make those comments about like, Mija, you've gained weight, or te estás engordando. And let's kind of break it down with that. So one of the things with that kind of typical statement that maybe a lot of us have heard is what are some of the differences maybe in our current generation now versus maybe when we heard it from the tia's generation or even the grandmothers. How do we feel like they and we have understood mental health and body image? And therefore, why are we still having these kind of statements come through? Because I'm sure our reactions are probably different. We're more aware and we're calling it out, or maybe we have strong emotions towards it. But we think about it in the perspective of our tia, maybe. Is it something they're aware of? Let's dive a little bit deeper into that. I don't know if anyone has anything to start off with thoughts on that part first. I do, but I have emotions.
I definitely do. I just think, especially like as providers, right? Speaking from like that provider perspective, it's like, I don't think and I shouldn't say we, because that's kind of putting us all under the same bucket, but I don't think providers recognize the impact that different generations have on their patients, right? Especially when it comes to healing, from an eating disorder, or when it comes to, maybe figuring out or finding out that you have a certain diagnosis, right? Like there's a lot of stigma still. And maybe like fear from these older generations that really press on to like our patients and just to those that we work with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's good to know, like, what is a cultural tradition versus what is coming from a fear that maybe isn't really
Mm,
technically a culture. It's just it got leached on because we feel like it is. It's a common Latino thing to say and comment on bodies. But yeah, let's break it down. Or maybe do we go backwards and see, like, I'm pretty sure no one has greeted each other that way from the beginning of time for humanity. So
yeah.
when did this begin? Especially in Latinos, my thinking is like it came from definitely colonization,
Hmm.
acculturation, assimilation to be part of the better group of people who don't look like you. And my thinking, it's like it's a safety thing. Like, let's make sure our family is okay. Let's mix in. Let's make sure you're not looking like the group that gets ostracized. And now in this modern day, it is folks in larger bodies. Um,
Oh,
and I don't think that's culture. That's not a tradition. That's not like familismo. That's not love of food. So it's interesting how it's so contradictory of it, yet it still happens mixed in
Mhm.
the two.
Yeah. I think maybe something that is a little cultural, or I think kind of like dances the line between two, is the pride that comes from the culture, the hardworking ethic, and like always being ready to like
Oh
figure
yeah.
out the solution, and like you don't have to rely on other people. And I think that fear amplifies that because now it prioritizes survival from migration, from political instability, or like discrimination and racism because they've left their home country and they're in a new place. So now it's like they've been taught that, I think, to survive you have to conform to other people's expectations so that you're not drawing attention to yourself, and that now leaves them feeding into the beauty standards that are more Eurocentric, that praise the thinner, smaller bodies, so that people aren't looking to you. They're not like, any step you move, you are now worried that you're going to be like the target of something. um, and then too, like with body image, I think it's also like we've been taught that like how you look represents who you are and represents your family. So
ooh.
now you're not only representing yourself, you're having to speak for your lineage, and they want you to put your best foot forward. It makes me think of like when your tias are talking and they're chismeando and all that stuff, and they're like bragging about their kids, right? Oh, well, my kid's a doctor and mine is a this and that. And it's like it comes down to the appearances too. Oh, mira que la mía perdió whatever peso, and like I saw
Modelo, right?
yeah, es una modelo, and the other one like, oh, did you see, se mira más gordita, and it's like, what?
I guess I can see pride being the theme of like part of culture, right? Like pride with our lineage, where we're
Mm.
from, and then being mixed in with how we're presenting ourselves too.
Hmm.
That part makes sense.
It's almost like I feel like it's a bunch of things mixed in one. It's like a protective factor, but like a preservation factor. It's like a trauma response, right? But I also think it's just really interesting, pointing out what both of you are saying, right? Is like the first thing that we typically hear out of like our tias or out of like, whatever family member, if it's a primo, prima, whoever it may be, is, ah, pero miraste a esta nena, right? Like, oh, did you see her? Like, how does she look? Wow. Like, the first thing we always comment is like on the appearance, not like, oh, like the accomplishments or, oh,
Hmm.
like, how humble somebody is. That like straight always goes to they look bigger, they look smaller, they broke up, or they broke up with somebody, right? Or like, oh, mira quién tiene novio, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just always seems to kind of gravitate towards those things. Um,
Hmm.
and it's really interesting because I'm kind of like my mind just goes all over the place when I think of it in that way, and I'm just kind of like, where did that start from? Because it's like you said, Nico, like nobody in like I'm pretty sure like we didn't begin to be on this earth and be like, let me look at you and see like where you have, gained weight or lost weight, right? But somehow that seems to be something always like at the forefront, especially whenever we're having like family gatherings. I think sometimes it's like an automatic response, like whether we think it or whether we intentionally say it, like it comes out. Someone says something.
Yeah. I think it's so embedded that it becomes
Yeah.
casual conversation.
Normal,
Yeah.
right?
One of the things because I was rereading the Tia chapter, this the Está Engordando chapter, and it was interesting how the author named it as like body monitoring, like when we're commenting or looking at our family's bodies as a form of surveillance.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what this is. It's kind of like a checking in for safety. Like, oh my God, like kind of like if someone looks really sick, and we're gonna say something like, oh my gosh, why are you sick? Let's get you a doctor. Let's get you well. This one's a little more subtle because it's kind of putting a lot of normalization towards things that are actually harmful versus like you're sick, let's get help, but like you're in a different size now, you're bigger. That's a concern, even though that's probably a very healthy thing that person's state is in. So I thought that was interesting because I think that makes sense. It being surveillance, monitoring, tracking. So what do we do about that then, right? When we're talking about healing and we want to involve family, ideally. I mean, unless folks have a lot of trauma and they're like, no, let me be on my own with this. I know for a lot of folks, healing comes really well when you are still working with your family or your community. And they're also working through the kinks of what they realized was causing harm. So how do we make that happen? Or how do we support folks with that too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think depending on where the person is at in their journey, if they're just starting to get their own help, maybe it is more individual because these types of things are like very like taboo and stigmatized in their community. So like they're not gonna want to, tell everybody else I'm in therapy or I'm seeing a dietitian. And it's, I think in those times when they're starting off, it can be very beneficial to like the common question to start is always, why did my mom say that? Why did my tia say that? Like, and I think another question that could help reframe it is, what did they experience for them to say that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're not taking accountability away. Like the impact was felt, but what else did they experience that made them have that lens so that we can find some grace in what they said that allows us to do our own healing, and we're not holding on to all of that anger and pain.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's powerful. Rather than putting it into this one-to-one battle, like, oh, I don't ever want to see my family member. It's doing a deeper dive, sitting with that discomfort and saying, where is that coming from on their end? And I think that's very empowering for folks to realize that this is actually a much bigger issue than it just being from this one family member. We're obviously talking about this as a podcast because it's a very common systemic issue. Yeah. And I think for folks to go through that work on themselves to realize that is a very big step for healing too. I know that helped me a lot with my own when I was learning about that idea of like, oh, it's not just my own family members who said that to me. Like, then why? And then you learn about as a bigger group being marginalized, and you still get mad, but you get mad at a different thing, a much bigger thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's now rage against the system, not just family members.
Not just the tortillas.
Yeah. Still be mad, but for something bigger that you realize. And that can be overwhelming to realize too. So this is where you still have your own sovereignty to heal and feel the way you want to feel, if it's within your family system or if you're like ready to be mad at the bigger picture too. So it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when somebody is ready to like open up and have those conversations with family members, like who do they want to talk to? How do we invite that without them feeling attacked? Because I see that very often with our patients and clients that we work with. It's like they identify this person was the source. This person continues to make the comments. But if something is said, the person turns it around and is like, oh, it's all my fault. Like I caused this and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And it's like, this isn't the moment for a pity party. And they may not realize they're doing it, right? But it's like, how do we acknowledge and say, yes, I said this. I didn't mean it. And that's okay. But it didn't happen that way. Maybe let's learn how to use our words differently. they didn't have access to the language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think just hearing that example, like it brings back like just kind of different personal events for myself. I'm just like, I have experience that where it's like you try to gently, right, kind of like either educate somebody or just kind of like call them out like in a loving way where it's like you're not really coming at them at all, but then you're kind of met with, "Ah, bueno, pues ya no voy a decir nada." And I'm just like,
Mm.
oh,
Yes.
but it's like, no, like no, like let's
Well, I'm
talk
just an
about it.
awful family member, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Like I know I've been met with that and I'm just like, yo, like how are we supposed to break like the, generational trauma if we're not willing to, kind of sit with it and like,
Take
you know,
accountability.
yeah, or like, kind of reflect before you react, like again, I think I know a lot of it stems from, that um a lot of like my own family members, came as immigrants. So it's a lot of that mentality of like survival and just like really that preservation mentality. And then it's kind of like, well, here we are calling them out on something that even they may not be aware of. And, they kind of go into that like protective, like, all right, well, I'm not going to talk to you or I'm not going to say these things anymore, right? Because then you get mad. And then we're called sensitive, right?
That's
Because
why
we're
I feel
calling
like
it out.
family work is so helpful because it's like, all right,
Yeah.
you as a client, you're learning the skills of how to stay grounded, rooted in your stance. Family member obviously needs help with that too. So we're there able
Yeah.
to take that step out of their emotions and sift through it. It's hard. My family we have a lot of emotions. So
Same girl, same.
yeah.
Ugh. And it's hard to find the right words because then everybody wants to be heard without silencing, but it's like we can all express without anybody being left out. It's more of like timing and seeing where does it fit in, because then now beyond the body comments, how are we, showing that through other ways, more commonly through how we feed each other. You're, like you're kind of giving contradictory messages. You're telling them, oh, estás engordando, but then you're like, you're not eating enough. So how are they supposed to interpret that? They're like, I'm making you happy, I'm disappointing you, I'm being rude, and the person always feels like they're losing at the end of the day.
Mm.
But there's a lot more on the table than just the food on the plate. There's the emotional plate. There's the performance plate. There's the I have to minimize myself to make my family proud plate. And all of that dims your own cues because now you're going based off of what other people are telling you. You might not be hungry, but guess what? You have to eat because everybody else is eating, or you're the last one to eat because you're that mom figure, whether you're the oldest sibling or you're the only woman in the house and you're having to put everyone else before you.
Pop off, Christina. You go, girl.
I like
I think
framing
this,
it as the different plates too. I like that.
yeah. Because I don't think we think of it in that way, but it's true, right? Because every family system, looks so different, and it's like everybody kind of has different responsibilities, right? So I kind of want to tap into what you said yesterday, Nico, how being able to bring awareness to these things is a strength,
Mm-hmm.
and that strength, is given to us from our ancestral wisdom, which is a protective factor for ourselves, right? So I know that we're not going to find the solution, right, to all of this like right now, but I think that that awareness is like that first step to being able to, have space on the table, right, to have these conversations, no matter how uncomfortable they are. One thing I always tell my patients is like, growth happens in the discomfort, right? If we stay comfortable, we're not really growing.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing what are some of the strengths that are there, even if they're hard to see. It's kind of like let's find something that is a light at the end of the tunnel, even if we feel like everything is cloudy and dark and sticky. That there's something there though. We're just not used to seeing it, right? Because we're used to maybe feeling very black and white or feeling like it's us against them. Because we're in a world that's very polarized right now too. But yeah, with the ancestral wisdom, I was going to share a bit too of what I've learned a bit with my own, like within the Andes, of learning about the different parts of our bodies, ourselves. And that matches very much though with what you said, Christina, with our plates, our emotional plate. Because in that respect, this is before, I'm sure, worrying about being in a big body or gaining weight. It's, we know that we have to tend to our bodies, our physical body, the emotional, I believe is one, the mental, intellectual, and then there's the spiritual. And so I think the belief when there's any kind of disorder is that there's a imbalance in something there. And so that's something to keep in mind, as it maybe visually with the plates, like what am I lacking there physically, maybe so much with nutrition, but maybe it's emotional. Maybe it's not having connection with community, because there's a belief that we're interconnected with everything around us. That is a strength that comes from our lineage and our ancestors. And we just forget or don't realize because it's kind of subtle.
Yeah. And we're so good at not giving ourselves credit for the things that we've accomplished. It's always like, we could be doing more, but you're already doing so much.
I try to tell that to clients because I do a lot of intakes now, and they're coming in. Sometimes probably for them, it feels like it's a clean slate, like tell me everything. And with a lot of strengths already and experiences. So I try to kind of highlight that, like, oh, wow, but you already have that in. That's going to be so helpful growing from that as you start through this program. So I think people just need those reminders too.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially in a world where it's like, Christina, how you said, right? Like we're always constantly like, how can I do better? But it's like you already are, It's just really taking that time to like slow down and recognize like the growth that you've already had and enjoy it.
Yeah. You're allowed to be proud of yourself too. You don't have to wait for somebody else to say it.
Yes. I love that.
I think, like Vero said, we don't have all the answers today, but I think a good place to start is always like taking inventory of like, what is it that is really causing you the pain now? Where did it come from? How can we start unpacking it so that we're like also reflecting on where that hurt came from, right? The impact was there, but the intent was there, but the impact is what we have to live with. And if we want to have that collective community healing, how do we provide opportunity for the person to correct their mistake so that they're on the healing path with you? And that can look like Nico said, having the family sessions, bringing in other members and allowing them to learn the education, so that we tap into that wisdom that, even though they had that comment, they could also help provide us the support through like things that have been passed down and taught to them too that they never thought were applicable. So that we get to embedding those protective factors. And as much as we prepare the people we work with for any little curveball life may throw, 5 years down the line, they're going to know how to respond to something we could have not foreseen, because it's not only what we taught them, but what their family is helping them uphold in the house. Yeah.
I'm thinking other strategies too, from I think my understanding with what gets described for family, like especially Latino families when they have a lot of group gathering meals. Is in my understanding, like a lot of families get like parents, if they're aware because they're helping their child, if they're in the treatment with them, or even if they're adults, they're kind of given advice on how to share that with their family members. Because I feel like that's kind of common too. It's like, okay, well, just talk about it before you're having your big holiday meal. And from my understanding, it seems usually to be well received. Like, oh, wow, yeah, I didn't realize. And it really helped that child or that adult when it came to gatherings. I don't know. That's like another thing too. It's just saying it. Like, hey, can we greet each other in a different way? Can we not comment about bodies? We all love each other. We're excited to see each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if they're not going to be able to do that, then also knowing it's okay not to participate.
Yeah.
It might not look like being with the big family, and it might be the small family instead while they're building that protection around the person struggling.
Yeah. And the ones who aren't comfortable with it, I would like be so curious on this side, like, we gotta do a little deep dive on you then. Like, why are you not? What's going on there? You need to sign up too.
Call us.
I try to model that for the people too, because I'm like, hey, I not speaking for everybody, but at least using me as an example, I can be a people pleaser sometimes, and like I'm not confrontational like for myself. I will defend somebody else tooth and nail, but if it's me and my needs, I'm like, oh, it's not that important, and I'm like, no, it is important. Like, tell the person you don't want to hear that. Their feelings are not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to communicate what you need, what is going to help you, because nobody is a mind reader. And after that, the responsibility transfers onto them to let you know, yes, I can do this for you. No, I can't or don't want to. Or how can I do something else that is still going to help you? If this thing you told me, I don't know how or can't do. And that's it. If they get mad, like, I think that's a them problem.
That's the answer too, right?
Exactly, yeah. Or no answer is an answer too.
And I'm thinking of younger me when I first heard this comment. I mean, I was like 15. I think I would have been too scared at that age. So I would have maybe wanted to have my like cousin who was with me, if she could speak up, that would have been nice. Or maybe my parents, right? So yeah, if it's too scary for you because of where you are to directly say, hey, this, what you're saying hurts.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to have someone like an ally with you to help.
Yeah.
There's no wrong way to do this.
Exactly. A sister, a cousin, another Thea, your own parent. It's okay.
Tia's mom. No.
Yeah. Anybody can get it. But yeah, I don't know. There's so many ways to approach it. There is no one right or wrong way. It's just gonna, I think, have to be evaluating everybody's individual family dynamics and being okay with not only sitting through but talking through the discomfort. So yeah. Any last minute thoughts or tips?
I was going to end with because I reread the chapter with just a quote that I felt like was really nice about what we just chatted about with like the family member and us. But it says, she said, sometimes people who love us harm us because they are not healing. And it takes a lot of grace towards yourself and them to sit with the harm and not let it destroy your day. Just a reminder there. Yeah.
Yeah. So important. I like that. And it's trying to see the other shoe too. What steps are people walking through in life as well? And again, anger is valid. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be sad. And how do we unpack that emotion without it letting consume you? So, yeah.
It to the system.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
To the system. But yeah, so that's a little about, like how each of us has seen generationally how conversations can change, how they can impact family dynamics. And of course, the conversation doesn't end here. It can go on and on and on. So if any of you listening are like, oh my God, I've also experienced this or something, like, let us know. We love hearing from everybody. But if you're also interested in like, what do I do with this now? Like, I realize I have these feelings, like, feel free to check out our website. We have so many resources on there, from, like additional peer support to like other resources that can provide help. And wherever you're available, there's definitely something locally that we can also help provide if you don't see something listed. If there are any interests in, listening to us today, oh, I'd love to hear more about X, Y, and Z related to this, like you can also leave topic suggestions. We're interested in hearing what you want to talk about. So yeah, check us out on Instagram. We are at Sin Dieta Collective, also on YouTube. That's where you'll find all of our podcast episodes. If you prefer listening, we're on Spotify as well. And we're always around for any feedback y'all have for us. So we'd love to hear from you at any time. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you all again soon.
See you all.